Coming to you live from Pier 17 in the South Street, Seaport District of Manhattan, and brought to you by Chase. Welcome back to Jalen and Jacoby. Jalen, who is joining us in studio?
You know I love hard hitters.
I know you do.
They play defensive back. You know I do.
I know. It's all you talk about.
He was on Hard Knocks, letting them have
the
it.
star of Hard Knocks.
No.
The star of Hard Knocks. All those personalities on that team.
Abram.
And all anyone can talk about is this man right here, Johnathan Abram.
The Raiders.
The Raiders.
In the building. Welcome to the program, family.
Before we start, I must say the Jalen and Jacoby picture, that picture is funny.
Holding the bat?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We appreciate you saying that, man. We appreciate your support of the show. We appreciate you coming on. Now, obviously, you're a bit hobbled. You know, you had some surgery. What's it like not being able to be on the field your first year in the league?
I think that's like the biggest problem I've had so far. You know, coming out of college, high school, I was never injured. You know, I had never had like a major injury. I tore my meniscus actually before my 2017 season at Mississippi State, and I healed so fast. I healed in 7 days. I still played in the first game.
Wow.
So like being out now and just missing all this time, like I have like too much time on my hands. You know, I had a lot of goals set for this, you know, this rookie season. So not being able to go out there, you know, and accomplish what I had set for myself, that's like the most frustrating part.
How do you deal with it? Like, it's got to be a bit of a mental struggle, you know?
I mean, I just try to look at the positives on it, you know, get to spend more time with my family. I get to focus on other things, you know, focus on school, you know, because I'm still trying to get my master's and things like that, So
your Raiders are 3-2. Big win. I didn't think y'all were going to beat the Bears.
Put some respect on John Gruden's name.
I didn't think
I've been trying to tell
y'all were going to beat the Bears. I did not think so. So are people sleeping on the Raiders?
Yes. I mean, they only predicted us to win 4 games. We already had 3. We got 12 more to go. So
that sounds good.
So the Raiders, your team, will be moving next year to Las Vegas
I don't know if you're familiar with, they call it Sin City.
to play football.
yeah.
Have you ever spent a lot of time in Vegas?
I went there for 3 days for a charity softball game.
How do you feel about living there to play football?
I actually look forward to it. No state tax.
Okay.
So the one thing that I do know, the Raiders fans travel no matter where you go.
They do.
So the Raiders fans are going to be there. That's not going to be an issue. Only thing I think is going to be probably like the temperature, because it was extremely hot.
Especially early in the season.
Yes, it was hot.
I think since there's so many things that are legal there that aren't other places, that y'all should have a home field advantage.
Yeah, because, you know, players going to come in, they're going to want to hit the casino.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I can see some opposing players walking into their hotel rooms like 8 a.m. on game day.
Oh, it's going to happen.
You know what I mean? Like
It's
7,
legal.
8 a.m. on game day. It's gonna be wild.
Catch somebody out there drunk and level them.
Oh, speaking of leveling, because I always talk about how I love the hard hits, in particular from your position. What do you think about the tackling rules that are now being instituted in the game?
You know, I think the league is trying to do the right thing, you know, protecting guys. But at the same time, you know, they're only protecting offensive guys. They're not protecting the defensive guys. So it's like, you know, y'all want to talk about player safety. When are we going to look out for the defensive guys? You know, offensive guys are out here lowering their helmet, you know, trying to initiate contact, and they never get fined for it. But the moment one of the defensive players does it, you know, like Vontaze, you know, he gets ejected, season's over. But, you know, you see it all the time with these running backs, these tight ends. They go out there and they pummel guys. Run straight through you, head in your chest, and there's no repercussions about it.
And there's some short running backs, when they tilt their head down, that like tackle zone becomes nothing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So then what are you supposed to do?
What am I supposed to hit? Yeah. And so it's just, you know, it's a fine line, you know, player safety and, you know, and trying to, you know, keep the game, you know, how it's meant to be played.
I'm glad you brought up Vontaze, because we actually defended him when the NFL came down with a suspension and felt like it was way too harsh. Do you feel like he's a dirty player?
No, not at all. Like, being around Vontaze is probably one of the best guys I've ever been around. Like I've seen him get into it with one of the O-linemen at practice. The O-lineman actually he was just picking at Vontaze, you know. Vontaze is doing his job, just thudding up the back.
Probably Richie Incognito.
No, it wasn't Richie. And that's the thing, you know, everybody has a perception of Richie. Richie is like one of the nicest guys ever. Richie just wants to play football.
But you say this about Vontaze, right? But we have seen the on-field hits, the ankle twisting. Like, we've seen some on-field plays from him that are questionable. I mean, it's hard.
But what we haven't seen is players come out and say, he should be out of the league or that he should be fined or suspended.
Yeah. If it was that extensive, like you said, some guys would come out and they would voice that. This league is, people are going to say how they feel, especially, how things are going with now. But Vontaze, man, I will say this, and Gruden says it all the time, you have to be passionate and not emotional. Sometimes emotions flare, and things happen. Like, a couple of hits back when he was in Cincy, emotions flared. Yep. So, he went to what he knew how to do best, and that's tackle.
So one of the things that people love so much about you is your personality. Like, you were shining in Hard Knocks. I watched every single week, and like, your personality comes out. You're so much fun to be around. It comes through Hard Knocks. And one of my favorite scenes from Hard Knocks is you went to a nice restaurant, and there was a certain fish that you ordered. There's a certain menu item that you wanted.
I'm gonna say it right for everybody: salmon.
Oh, there you go.
Salmon.
There you go. Yeah. What was the experience of Hard Knocks like?
It was different. Just cameras being around 24/7. You have to watch what you say. But that was the one thing, I really didn't care. I don't really care what the world thinks of me. My teammates know who I am. People who spend time with me, my family, they know who I am. They know, all good. So I was just being myself, and that's the one thing Gruden preaches, just be yourself, If you're out here trying to fake it, you're not gonna last long.
Mm-hmm. You get a chance to play football for a living. What are some of the things you've learned once you start getting those paychecks? Because what I learned, before you answer, people get mad at me for 3 things: my time, my energy, and my money.
Ding, ding. Yes. So it's like people have inputs on things that they have no control over. People want to tell you how you should do things or how you should spend your money, things like that. And it's just like, you're not in a position to do this, so how can you tell me what to do with it? So, it's different, but I don't really worry about it. The one thing now that is maybe different from your time is social media. That's like probably one of the worst ones. Social media, if you have a bad game, they will torch you.
Yeah.
From analysts, fans, the fans are the worst. They love you when you're doing good, but the moment you have a bad game, they torch you.
So since we're talking about money, I'm gonna give you a different way to look at those quote-unquote fans. Every sporting event has something in common: a betting line.
Yeah.
And what I realized is most of them are betting on the game. Yeah. Whether it's in Vegas on the odds, whether it's fantasy football.
That's the one that kills me. They be like, "Oh, you messing up my fantasy team." No one cares about your fantasy team. Do you get paid for the fantasy team?
I'm trying to get this win. So, we know that you have interests outside of just football. So we wanted to bring up this topic. At Midnight Madness at Kansas, they hired Snoop Dogg to do a show. And when Snoop Dogg got there were some marijuana references. And there was some pole dancing going on, some fake money flying around from the gun. And Kansas had to apologize, and they got upset about it. And Snoop Dogg came out and said, if you hire Snoop Dogg, you're going to get Snoop Dogg.
Yeah.
What do you think about this controversy?
Snoop Dogg is his brand, and a lot of people associate, with Snoop Dogg, like Adidas, and I actually done an event at Snoop Dogg's house. Like, what he said is that's true. When you ask for Snoop Dogg, you're gonna get Snoop Dogg. And, just being around him and being at that seminar or whatever, the one thing that, that everybody talked about is how Snoop Dogg has branded himself. Mm-hmm. He went from rapping a long time ago to branding himself as, as this icon now. People want to talk about, sports with him. He's like this icon now.
And there's a lot of players in the league that came up through Snoop Dogg's in Los Angeles. So very quickly,
a lot of people respect him.
What was the most surprising thing you saw at Snoop Dogg's house?
Just the house itself. It's not really a house. It's more of a
compound.
It's a compound. So like they got security outside, and it's just like you think you're pulling up to a regular building, and it's like, oh, this is his house.
Well, listen, Johnathan Abrams, thank you so much, man. Wish you good recovery, and we look forward to seeing you back on the field next season.
Yes, indeed.
Johnathan Abrams, thank you so much for joining the show. When we come back, we have another special guest. We'll show you who that is. Stick around.